So I would like to now call upon our next presenter. The next presenter is the next thesis is going to be presented by Manna Maria Nixon, a postgraduate student from College of Engineering, Trivandrum, located in Trivandrum, India. Title of the thesis is Reimagining the Ancient Port Town of Beypore as a Gateway to Malabar region in Kochipuri, India, and was guided by Dr. Manoj Kumar Kinney and falls under the theme of and her works fall on the theme of urban landscape. You can Manna, you can start with your.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank you for the introduction. So, greetings everyone. It is my greatest pleasure and honor to present my thesis titled Reimagining the Ancient Port Town of Beypore as a Gateway to Malabar region, a place where the history meets the present, a place where the echoes of the past resonate with the possibilities of future. Sorry, I didn't put in the slideshow. So starting with the concern, mankind has a relationship with water that dates to the beginning of history. Most of the cities and towns thus emerged on the banks of rivers and seas, which reveals the historical relevance and importance for human settlements. The port towns are one such living organism that connects the land and water and have strong historical connections between the towns and waterscapes, where they are the key places of cultural exchange, trade, and development. However, urbanization and human-centered innovations change the water presence over time, disconnecting the tangible and intangible assets without assessing the potential of the place. This shift of urban centers transforms the natural blue-green assets as barriers, creating disjunct presence. Therefore, blue sustainable tourism aims to retain the economic and social advantages of tourism development by spatial design that integrates marine activities, conserving cultural assets, and protecting the environmentally sensitive ecosystems. Therefore, this uplifts the local community, the local livelihood, strengthens the blue-green systems, and promotes a historic identity through urban design interventions. So my aim of the thesis also reflects the same, and therefore there is a need to analyze the impacts of the blue-green system and their socio-cultural assets, which can be the stewards for the future development and heritage practices. The purpose of my research is to shed light on the transformational potential of Beypore, and that has remained as relatively overlooked in the broader narrative of India's maritime history. And through this exploration, the aim of my aim is actually reimagine Beypore as a pivotal gateway to Malabar region, and in doing so, to uncover the untapped economic, cultural, and historic treasures it holds. The case of Beypore in the Malabar region of northern Kerala is taken as a case of examination. Beypore is one of the intermediate river and port town and a thriving fishing harbour along the 590 kilometer of Kerala's coastline. The unique geographical setting of Beypore at the mouth of river Chaliar, and which actually starts from the Nilambur hills on the western Ghats and which actually confronts on the Middle Eastern Ocean, made Beypore a very prominent economic center and place node with wooden shipbuilding center and an entry point to Malabar region, which actually influenced the historic, cultural landscape and the social fabric. This actually created high potential growth for various sectors along the water edge, like the industries, clay tile factories, fisheries, dhow making, and ecological and cultural assets. Beypore, as more than a town, it was actually a gateway that once connected civilizations, cultures, and commodities. At present, there's a shift in focus that made the present less notified yet potential zone. Therefore, there is a need to understand and analyze the spatial structure in relation to the culture of water that reflects the part dependencies that shape how we engage with water today, and which is actually suitable for the regional setting and can create a sustainable development in considering the economic growth. To tackle these, the multidisciplinary research approach was employed, and combining the historical analysis, urban design investigations, and studies of the urban fabric and the cultural landscape and stakeholder consultations were made. And this comprehensive methodology allowed me to gain a holistic understanding of Beypore and its untapped potential to develop it as a gateway to Malabar. And therefore, the urban form reflects the present is predominantly residential and commercial zone is along the primary nodes and primary road networks, which gives less dense zone along the water edge, which is mainly the fisherman community, which is in the organic formation. And therefore, there is a lack of usable open spaces, deteriorating urban heritage, and less transition zone from each functional layer to the functional area to the water edge. The water edge also caters to a livable condition and functional areas like the fishing harbor, the port, the cultural assets along the water edges and the old market spaces, urban green forests, mangrove forests, which is actually rich in flora and fauna. The cultural and ecological landscape of Beypore has various ecosystem, riparian zones, and ecosensitive regions. With the urban landscape supported, the community and the livelihood, thus there was a need to analyze the man and water relationship, which was actually, with this understanding, I could understand that the water was actually acting as a major economic generator. Thus, the community plays a vital role in constructing the cultural landscape, where the community is actually influenced by the activities and movement networks of the place, which indicates their livelihood that is connected with water, but they are actually segregated at different regions as the water as a barrier because of the less connectivity in the blue-green system, where it is actually interrupted, and therefore they are actually forced to move along the land without less water connections, which supported, and this has been supported with the various traffic and intensity studies. This acted as a major activity generator that is influenced by the culture and economy of Beypore and the natural. And there is an annual event that is happening at Beypore known as Beypore Water Fest with a footfall of 4 lakh people, which actually alter the catering capacity with its existing infrastructure available. Also with that, the research also concludes and infers that other conflicts like the lack of ample connectivity to the present and transformations into the functional layers, neglected ecological landscape influence its future potential development. Thus, the vision thus envisages to create Beypore as a blue sustainable tourist destination and gateway to Malabar region, bringing in sustainable development, tourism, recreation opportunities by connecting tangible and intangible assets, by improving the human and functional networks towards a water edge, by developing the infrastructure which actually influenced the strength to strengthen the livelihood, ecology, and urban form. So in a macro scale, the strategies can be applied by extending the proposed West Coast Inland Waterway 2, utilizing the proposed coastal road as a secondary entry point, incorporating the Beypore in the Kerala's literature circuit, strengthening the transit and the activity nodes, connecting the rich cultural and ecological landscape to the proposed ecotourism circuit, and encouraging water sports activities to bring in much more tourism development and bring in visual connection to the water edge as well as pedestrian and public domain networks to the water land and water interface by functionally transforming the edge conditions, and therefore by extending the railway networks to the Beypore port area from the Farouk railway station, which is actually nearby. And in a micro scale, the outcome is actually demonstrated in three different design premises. So the first zone, zone 1 envisions Beypore as a destination zone with Beypore beachfront development, fish market zone, reorganizing the major zones, connecting more major intangible and tangible assets through blue-green networks, and which actually create a sustainable bundle for tourism by connecting the local communities within the tourism sector by involving the community level participation. And in detail, the port square is actually the major zone where it actually opens up as a major activity zone catering various communities, especially the natives and the working community. The beach promenade celebrates the tourism potential as and act as a platform for various cultural and adventurous port activities catering tourists and visitors. And the next zone is the Beypore development transit node expands the potential for generating the better commute across the blue system and activity along the water edge. The existing opportunities of the Charlium fish market enables for the redevelopment, which actually translates as economic growth and livelihood. The adjacent ecological landscape, the thick urban forest with the remains of the Kerala's first railway station can be incorporated in the ecotourism circuit, where it can act as a major transition space to the lighthouse region and giving it an aerial view of the rich landscape of Beypore and leading towards the Charlium beach edge with the marine activities. The zone 2 is actually the underutilized old Charlium market is brought to a new phase by reorganizing the existing functions and accessibilities to the new transit nodes and empowerment of the local communities through stakeholder participation, where the methods of adaptive reuse, activating the unused market code with seasonal and weekly markets, and through prioritized movement networks in the public domain are being made. And the third zone is considering the future connectivity and infrastructure modeling. Remodeling the water edge along with the functional zones makes the cultural district as a secondary entry point to Beypore present. So this is actually demonstrated through public infrastructure zone, And with the Uru Museum, Beypore Bashir Memorial as a part of Kerala's literature circuit, conservations of the existing mangrove forest to an eco-sensitive biodiversity park, where with supporting facilities like accommodation, food courts, and for tourists and visitors and natives have been made. So on conclusion, this uplifts the local livelihood, strengthens the blue-green system, and promotes a historic identity through urban design interventions, adding a meaningful insert in the urban landscape here. So the grounded approach is being made, and the tourism-oriented development utilizing the blue-green system as a major tool can bring back the genius loci of Beypore and makes Beypore as a gateway to Malabar region. So I extend my gratitude to UDL for this opportunity and to my advisors and guides and my peers, and for all those who have supported me on this academic journey. Without the guidance and encouragement, this research would not have been possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Manna, for presenting your work. I would like to now call upon our panelists quickly to discuss, to give their insight on her. Clara, would you like to go first and say a few words about her work?
Yes, I'll be quick. First, thank you, Mana, for that presentation. How long did this take you to draw and to, research?
It took 6 months in the academic course, but right now the thesis is under live proposal under the Kerala Tourism Infrastructure Limited. So my guide is actually under the same agency, and we've been working on the proposed project.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like a lot of work, and clearly you've, went way and beyond to understand the site, which I think is a really relevant thing with projects of this scale. That said, it's so hard to understand, the full complexities of a city through drawing. We do our best to do it, but it always leaves things, on the side. And you've done an incredible job at trying to portray all those situations and lessons and kind of things that you've learned about this particular part of the city into paper. So that's the first thing. An incredible amount of drawings, just yeah, absolutely incredible. On the other hand, I must say it is a little bit overwhelming for someone who doesn't know the area and who, you have 10 minutes to go through all of these drawings, and I feel you could have chosen maybe one. There's one of those plans that is really kind of comprehensive to try to convey your idea and the relevance of the subject that you've decided to work on. And at times that can be the hardest task of all, to really kind of narrow it down to the things that are most relevant for the public, for yourself as a designer as well, and to show other people your work as well, because it becomes hard to follow where things are, what is informing what. That said, that is coming from a place of overwhelmed about amount of information condensed in 10 minutes and 10 panels, I guess. But your work is very detailed, and I think that is showing across regardless. But as an advice to kind of continue this is to kind of really give a priority to things, and just try to simplify it and see what is the core thing, even in the design, what is the core thing that can get missed, because through processes with people, council, and other, engagement with other people, things start to kind of fall apart and change, and which is good. But what is the 1 or 2 or 3 things that are relevant that need to kind of stand out and be part of the final design? That's the thing that I'm a little bit kind of missing. What are those key points? But yeah, overall, yeah, great effort on putting all of this up, and it seems like it's going in the right direction. So I guess it's about meeting with the right people, showing it in a little bit more condensed way, so that this can kind of move to more people and inform good urban realm discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Clara.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
words.
Clara.
Actually, I'll take it into consideration.
Gary, would you like to give some of your
Yeah.
insights?
Yeah. Hi, Mana. Thank you so much for a very comprehensive presentation. Again, I think the process is very clear. You've gone through your proper study, your proper research, even though you've summed it up all into 10 slides. The whole process of a 1-year thesis, I guess, 1 year, 6 months, I'm not sure, but it is all summed up into 10 slides very effectively. And you've looked at history where it should all start from, because before there was civilization, before there was an urban fabric, it's the landscape that formed, right? It's the water system, because it's also a channel that meets, it's an estuary, if I'm not wrong. It's meeting the sea. So again, the dynamics of the water there has given a lot of importance to how the city has grown. If you look at the cities worldwide, like London or Paris or New York, all the big cities are used its water system, not just for transport, for trade, for economy, for cultural significance. So again, how you looked at through the perspective of water is very impressive. And I do agree with what Clara also mentioned. Maybe it's too much to be presented in a presentation or 10-minute presentation. Maybe you should be the devil's advocate. You should be able to pick out some things that it's a very painful process. I understand when you concise your thesis into 4 slides, you'll have to obviously pick out a lot of nice projects that you did, nice graphics that you did. But again, that's been addressed. Another thing would be about not just about water, but then it can actually be seen as an amphibian community, right? It's not just water, because people are not always living in or near water, because they use water as a catalyst, but then their lives are mostly on ground. They use water to benefit for their economy, for their livelihood, but then land is also very important. And I see how you've used the land as well in your project, not just sticking to water, and how you try to integrate different ecologies, the urban forests, mangroves, the edges, things like this. They work well, but then also look at the temporality of things, because all this is not going to happen in 1 day or 1 year, because there might be a phasing that is required in your project. You will have to, it's also good that you have this long-term thinking rather than putting it all on a master plan and closing it off. Also say, how is it going to be established? Who are the stakeholders? Do people really want to travel through water these days? Does the youth of Beypore or of Calicut or Kozhikode want to, by the way, Kozhikode is a neighboring city, would they want to travel by water in the current age? And another thing that you can also look at is, of course, it's a gateway for Malabar if you look at it from the perspective of coming from south, but then it's also a satellite city for Calicut. I mean, it's not a very urbanized city, Calicut, when you compare to other global cities, but then again, it's just half an hour from Calicut. How can this city be an attraction to people in Calicut, the youth of Calicut, the next generation of Calicut? Can you integrate program into the urban fabric that facilitates the growth of Calicut as well on the side, so that both these cities grow in its own tempo? So these are things that you can also think about in your future projects, maybe in the same project, I don't know. But overall, well done. And of course, I should also applaud you on the graphics. You've done a lot of hand sketching in the initial days, and then the kind of approach that you have towards the end, it's more conceptual. It's good that it's conceptual. It's not really realistic. It's not practical. You've just given an idea of what the vision is, and that's it. That's good. Now it's a task of the architect or whoever is taking up that project to make sure that they stick to the vision, but then they detail out in a more elegant and contextually relevant way. So yeah, well done.
Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you for the valuable comments and your understanding about my project. So I just want to mention that I've been considered Beypore as a, what is Beypore to Kozhikode? I've been considering that in my design. So my vision is actually into that, where the regional connectivities have been made, where the transit networks have been made, even the water networks where the Canoli Canal, the network is there. So that is actually connected to Beypore. So I've looked upon overlooked Beypore towards Kozhikode and what is actually Beypore to Kozhikode.
Good. It's always good to zoom out and see how it impacts the surroundings. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Ujjain, would you like to say some more?
Yeah, I'll try to make it really, but it should be short. Good work. This This is my domain. This kind of work I do in my practice and teaching. From that perspective, well done. And yeah, you have crammed stuff in this 10 minutes and 15 slides, but still most of it is pretty clear even in that small form, because you have used certain graphics which are even clear in thumbnails. So that way it's fine. If somebody has time, he can still read it. If at all, I won't just say that it's a excellent complete work, which these days in urban design master's thesis are produced. From that angle, it's a complete work. I still have the complaint, which I always have in every thesis, is which I think Gary pointed out, that it is up to the architects now. Now architects are going to mess it up because you haven't clearly told how the architects should work on these 2-3 architectural projects you have identified, and you wore an architect's hat and did the architecture there a little bit. You have 3Ds and the roof forms and the courtyards and all that is there. Very good. So that's one drawing missing from there. It's just the drawing in between, a drawing which the architect will get, not the 3Ds of yours. Then you'll copy that because it's also very good. So you may copy it. So what is that urban design intent in detail, which I can see in the 3D? You're saying you want a courtyard, you want sloping roof, you want certain kind of color, connectivity, all that thing. There should be a drawing which shows only those 3, 4, 5 things, which are to be handed over to the architect by the authority, who is the owner of all this project, and to several architects for that matter, and landscape architect, traffic. So anyway, let's come to get into, I will get into teaching now, I don't want to do that. But in one word, I would say it is a complete, excellent urban design thesis. It is in the lower end of it, lower end in the sense grounded. It is not too much of theories and too much of regional studies. Come down to the thing very quickly and given a solution, and it will be doable, can be taken forward. I think Mr. Manoj Kini will take it over after this. Anyway,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Sujan sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We also have a
Agree.
guy, Dr. Manoj Kumar Kinni with us. I would like to call him here and say a few concluding words about the project. Dr. Manoj.
We were just discussing in the morning about the concluding words. Anyway. Next.
Yeah, good day to all the participants. It's very interesting how this
There he is. Okay.
discussion is progressing. For me, it's an opportunity to hear and listen what's happening in the academic world from various countries, and also the type of projects that's happening, and the fresh views that are coming from the students, from the young professionals. So, I mean, as far as this project is concerned, it's a live project, and the government is taking it up seriously to go ahead with this project, because the focus of this project is that the Malabar, I mean, the North Kerala, which has been always, it's not in the picture as far as tourism is concerned. So Beypore becomes a gateway, a major gateway for the tourism. And Beypore is now one among those ports which has been selected under the Sagarmatha project of Government of India, and also it's going to be a major port for the cruise. So it's going to get connected with the various important tangible and intangible assets of that region, and this is going to be a kind of a starting point for a major development project that's happening in the region. Yeah, thank you.
That's very exciting.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj.
Thanks.
And thank you, Manna, for sharing such a wonderful work of yours.